right, good evening, good evening, good evening, Black Factor family. So, as y'all probably know, it's pretty daggone cold in San Antonio. And in fact, it's going to be a bit of another cold snap tonight. But that's okay. We'll be ready this time. This time we'll be ready, I think. I think we'll be ready this time. We're going to see what happens because y'all know with our current political status, you just can't never tell what's going to happen next. But it's all right, though, because we're going to make it do what it do, y'all. We going to make it do what it do, y'all. Tonight, y'all, we got a special guest, a powerhouse. And she's going to discuss some things with us about the local situation and the way things are happening right here in San Antonio and around Texas. So y'all get ready and stay tuned for that because we're going to get this party started. Let's do it. All right. We are in the building, Black Factor family. I am happy to see each and every one of you as usual. I appreciate y'all for coming in and hanging out with your boy. We going to chop it up and talk about it and see what we can get going. Val Wells, I see you, madam. I appreciate you. I like you, Val. Val, you come check on me every day, every show. I like that. Thank you so much. Val, you know what? You got #1 fan status. That's what I'm going to give you, #1 fan status, Val. All right, y'all don't forget, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to hit those like buttons. Don't forget to hit the subscribe buttons. Don't forget to hit the follow buttons. Don't forget none of that stuff. Share the live. Wherever you are, share the live. All right, and don't forget you can catch us on podcasts as well. iTunes, Twitch. I'm sorry, I said Twitch. iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, and a few others. Google Podcasts, Radio Public. And don't forget, on every Wednesday, we simulcast with Oh So Smooth Radio. Don't forget to download the app. Y'all can get that at your Play Store or your Apple iTunes, your local Apple iTunes outlet, if that's even a thing. First, let me start by saying I want to thank everyone that reached out to check on us here in Texas. As you can see, we got the lights back on, and I'm using my fair share, as you can see. Kenneth Holden, I see you, my brother. Valerie Simmons checking in. And Tammy Alexis. Thank you, Tammy, for coming through and hanging out with your boy tonight. Look, y'all, I wanna, this is my heartfelt thank you over here at the Forbes Studios, households, businesses, and others. I want to say thank you so very much for those who checked in on us, for those who had us in their thoughts and prayers and in their hearts. And any of y'all who know me personally, y'all already know 2 things I ain't gonna do: freeze and starve. Y'all know me. I'm gonna get through it. You know what I'm saying? We gonna make it do what it do. But that doesn't mean that everybody is able. And I have a lot of mixed emotions about what all took place, and a lot of people are suffering right now. And I want y'all send a prayer out for those who are still in a situation that need assistance or help or whatever the case may be, because there are still a lot of people. In fact, half of the state, I believe they say about 50% of the individuals within the state itself are without water currently. So they've been flying in the big cargo military jets with water out of California. So they're passing out water as we speak. Just so you know, y'all are the bee's knees. Thank you so much. As far as the power goes, they're saying that we're out of the woods on that, but we're going to talk about that some more tonight too as well, because I got a few choice words for some of them folks. Y'all know what it is. Phyllis Harris, I see you. Jaquilla, you in the building. Y'all up in here hanging out with me. I appreciate it, y'all. We're going to talk about this stuff right here at length. We're going to get into it a little bit. But right quick on the because it is still Black History Month, and this is yet another disruption of Black history, unfortunately. But it is a sort of a disaster. I don't want to call it an act of Mother Nature, because I believe that most of this was man-made and could have easily been avoided. But nonetheless, on this day, 1940, Smokey Robinson, y'all, born. Smokey, smooth Smokey. That's the man right there, y'all. Yeah. 1963, Seal. And in 1966, Marky D of the Fat Boys. May he rest in peace. So, funny thing I saw on the news today, the seditionists, all these cats that ran up in Washington thinking they was going to save their democracy and do all these things for their president, they starting to find out that these folks ain't playing. They starting to crack, y'all. They snitching. They snitching. I wonder if they're going to get any stitches. They starting to tell on each other. And a couple of them are about to plead guilty, and they're looking for leniency, so they are telling on their cohorts. And we knew that was coming, didn't we? Imagine that. Nothing like sitting on them cold benches. It'll do something for you right quick, don't you know? So one other little thing that kind of, is in the news, it's kind of crazy how when something is happening, other stuff gets brushed by the wayside, but I don't want this to get brushed away. So this probe that they sent to Mars has landed and is now sending back pictures and even sound. And they've even got a drone that they're going to be flying around up there just to see how things are going. And as if we didn't have enough problems, now, y'all, we about to be running around here with aliens. I mean, think about it. We're visiting another planet right now. And we're supposed to go and, everything's supposed to be gravy. But what happens when they decide to send a probe to Earth or something like that and poke around and stuff? Yeah, okay, I know I'm tripping. Let me just say it like this. Y'all know I always say I hate it. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong again. And right quick, since we didn't mention this the other night, your boy, y'all's favorite talk show host, Rush Limbaugh, has passed. And on to other news. No, I'm just during Black History Month, no less. Is that kind of like the ancestors maybe saying, yeah, you know what I'm saying? We got you, dog. Anyway, all this snow around here trying to make everything white, during Black History Month. We're going to put a stop to that. Lastly, Herschel Walker. I don't know if any of you know about Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker, the former football player, who now seems to think that he is some sort of a spokesperson for black folks, and has gone in front of Congress to tell them why black people don't need or shouldn't get reparations. Now, I want to know who told Herschel Walker. Herschel been hit too many times in the head, can barely speak English, Walker, that he was capable of speaking for me or anybody else in my family or my lineage as to why we should not be compensated for building this country. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not for, I'm not against. But what I'm not going to do is sit here and try and diminish the contributions made to this country by my ancestors and those who look like me. Everybody throughout the history of this country has received some form of repair or reparation for their part and their contribution or their loss in this country. In fact, the slave owners themselves, y'all know I got to throw my history in there. The slave owners themselves received reparations for losing their property when the Civil War ended. They got paid because they lost their property because the slaves were no longer in their possession. That's just one example. Everybody, in fact, everybody that has had some atrocity committed against them across the globe has received some form of reparation, but not black people. And there was actually a politician a couple of years ago, I can't remember his name, who had the audacity to say that our reparations was when Barack Obama became president. I wished I had been close enough to slap him. Anyway, I guess, they found him and decided he was the perfect candidate because he was going to say everything that they wanted him to say. And he went up there for Massa and said, Massa, no, we don't need no reparations. Massa, we okay. Herschel Walker. Too dumb to know when he being used. Meritorious manumission much? See, this is exactly what Malcolm X was speaking about when he said they'll always go and find some handkerchief head Negro to parade in front of white folks to counter anything dealing with black folks and justice or fairness. And they found the perfect one. Now, my question is about Herschel Walker. What would his life look like had he never run a football? What would his life look like if he didn't make money chasing a ball up and down the field like the entertainer that he has been? The step and fetch it. Would he still be saying, oh, we's don't need no reparations, Mouser? Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to what's happening right now. Check it out, y'all. This is a Republican state. Now, I don't like to get off. I'm not gonna be partisan or get into the whole who's better, who's not, and all of that. But we do know that we have a very arrogant group of people who have been sitting in the hierarchy of this country for, at the minimum, the last 4 years with some really wild ideas. Now, back in, you know what, before I even get into this, because, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to a young lady by the name of Nikka Cleaver, an incredible young woman who, by the way, is a breath of life for San Antonio. One thing I can say for sure, and it's funny because I actually had this conversation with somebody recently, and we were mentioning this young lady, and the fact of the matter is this: people are lazy. And at the end of the day, this woman gets up and she gets it. Look, people can run their mouth all day about what they want to do and talk, and they want to sit in their armchair. And y'all know a lot of times I sit and complain about myself sometimes because I try to bring the information as far as I can to you through this venue. And I often feel guilty about sitting in the chair myself, but this is what I have to do in order to make the things that we need to know come forward, because black media is something that we need. And in fact, this young lady, by the way, is somewhat of a media mogul herself. She actually has a media organization of her own and has had it for many years. In fact, I believe that's how I came in to encounter with her, One Media Hub. And she handles everything from the rooter to the tutor when it comes to media. But she is in the running for a city council seat right here in San Antonio. And it is our hope that she gets in that position, because we know if she gets there, the work gonna get done. I want to introduce, ladies and gentlemen, everyone, to my friend, and I'm one of her constituents, Miss Nikka Cleaver. Say hello to the people, Nikka.
Hello, man. It is so my pleasure to be here. Let me tell you, you're making me smile, my heart smile, because radio is so my passion. And so to see, you doing your show and talking about issues, I'm like, yes, because I had to kind of sit that down to do this next thing.
That's right. It's all about stepping stones.
Yeah. So it's like, I got to make sure that now I can turn around and support you, to be one of those voices that I was trying to be for so many years, to continue.
Don't say trying. You was doing it. You was getting the word out. We got to remember technology is constantly evolving, and as time moves on, you was getting it done then, you're going to get it done now. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm excited though. But let's talk about some things. There's so much stuff happening right now.
Well, before we get into all of that, right quick, I want to talk about you a little bit. So you're a lifelong San Antonio resident, right?
I am. And let me tell you guys, let me just start off by saying I am running for City Council District 2. So normally I try to have my suit on and, my face all cute and everything. But today, we've been without electricity and water for days,
Absolutely.
Right? So this morning was the first time that I was able to take a hot shower. Now, normally you get like a little, nothing but cold water. Well, today I got nothing but hot water. So I was still like,
well, lucky
doing
for
the
you,
best that
lucky for you, the Black Factor is a come as you are kind of show. So there you
you
go.
know, I'm just like, that's all I can be is me. But just so you know, I'm definitely always trying to represent, right? See, there we are, represent
That's right.
in
That's
a
right.
good way.
District 2.
But then here's the thing: when it's time to do work, you don't dress like that to do work.
That's right.
You dress like that to go to meetings and to make sure that you can make deals. And when I say deals that help the people move the district forward, to do stuff like that. But when it's about helping people, you have your tennis shoes on and stuff, what I'm wearing now, because we just got through doing a food drive at Tremont Temple Church. They got 1,400 boxes of food. The food had salmon, sausage, milk, eggs, bread, vegetables, just perfect timing for what we've gone through. And so I think we serviced about 400 cars, took about 3 hours, and I was tired, boss.
So you've been out there getting it. You've been out there getting it today. See, that's what I'm talking about. See, y'all, I'm telling y'all right now, look, when she finally called me today so we could get this thing done, look, she was on the phone and she had a car full of boxes and groceries and stuff that she's taking to people, man. That's what I'm talking about. Getting out here and getting it. That's what's up.
You gotta take care of your neighbors. See, so if everybody, like, I made sure that two of my neighbors had something, and a good friend of mine that has a daughter, she got some stuff. But if we all took care of one or two people, I'm telling you, it all comes back around. It's all about working together, taking our positive assets and moving things forward, like
Absolutely.
No matter what we're talking about. So like it's possible. I'm gonna honestly say I heard you talking about leadership and what's been going on. And honestly, we've just had the wrong type of leadership in office. And I'm not even speaking about the president and all that stuff. I'm like all the way down the road, from local on up. We've just had people that are not good stewards of people. And you have to be a good steward of people to represent them honestly and correctly. And we just haven't had that. And we haven't had people who are proactive. So one of the reasons why I had to get up and run for council is because I'm like, man, there's so many things that we can do without having to wait for permission or wait for money or wait for a check. We could just get together, bring our assets together and do for each other and for our district. And so to me, it just takes that type of leader. And I'm stepping up to the plate to be that type of leader to where we can get things done. And if someone tells us to wait, we'll wait on you, but we're not going to wait on the cause and the purpose. We can still work while we're waiting on other people to get it done.
Since you said that right there, since you said that, I want to point something out that I found out today.
Okay.
Which we gonna get into this part, but before since you talking about what can be done, so one of our representatives on yesterday or the day before decided that it was better for him and his family to get up and fly out of Texas to Cancun, Mexico. Lying, flying Ted Cruz. See, Donald Trump was right about one thing. He called him lying Ted Cruz. And he got right on TV and lied and contradicted himself a couple of times. But I want to know what you say about the people who have said, and I've heard this today, that there was nothing that Ted Cruz could have done, so it was no problem with him flying out of here. They tried to defend him and said that it was nothing he could do anyway. How do you feel about that?
So this is what I'm going to say, and I have a very unpopular opinion. My thought about that is we have other stuff that we need to be worried about. The truth is, what Ted Cruz has the obligation to Texas to show that he's working and that he cares. The fact that he flew his butt out of here showed that you weren't, it's not that you don't care about the people, but you didn't say, you know what? I'm going to be here with the people.
Roll up his sleeves.
You know what I'm saying? And say, you know, if I got to stay in this shelter too, to show you that I'm with you, that's what I'm going to do.
Absolutely.
Even though I ain't got nothing to do with none of this stuff, which is very, very possible. Because again, who is the people that sat down with Argot, and who are the people that made the contracts, and who is the real person to blame? I can tell you, I'm not even sure about that. But what I do know is when you represent a people, you got to show them that you're willing to be in it with them.
Oh, we're gonna talk about the faults and we're gonna make a little bit of sense out of it before the night is out right here. We're gonna talk about it.
But that because at the end of the day, here's the thing: a lot of people don't even know what certain roles do. I've had more people call me. I'm just running for council, and I've had more people call me about questions and things that the council does not do. Even when I do win, the council doesn't do that. Right. So it's my job to know, for me, it's my job to know who does do it, to be able to have a relationship with other levels of government. So then that way I can connect those questions and concerns to the right person. But at the end of the day, as a people, we need to also educate ourselves on who is supposed to do what job, so we can truly lay the accountability on the right person.
Absolutely.
Because it makes no sense for the people who are truly accountable not to be talked about, while somebody who is not, but because they're more visible, is being talked about. And Ted Cruz is more visible than the people on the committees and the media, you know, the folks that actually made these decisions. So for him, his wrong move, which is why people need PR folks.
Absolutely. And you would think somebody would have pulled his coat, but now here's what makes.
Dude, this ain't the time to go to Cancun. You gotta wait.
Here's an interesting thing though that is going to probably add insult to injury for him. I found out today that AOC, you know who AOC is, right? Alexandria Cortez. Well, apparently in the last 24 hours, she has raised over $2 million to help to benefit residents of Texas who are cold, hungry, and thirsty, and intends to visit Houston sometime here in the coming week with Representative Sylvia Garcia. So, and they're going to highlight the problems that are faced, of course, by the Texans who have been affected by all of this. Now, how does it look that we have a representative from New York, no less, who has done more work for the people of Texas than those who are supposed to be representing Texas?
Okay, so you ready for the unpopular opinion?
Go ahead.
Whose fault is that? Ours. Because we keep voting people in that have not proven work or caring or love for the people that they choose to represent. Period. Did you do your research on Ted Cruz? Did you go vote? Did Ted have to do anything for him to get his seat? At the end of the day, we can bring it all the way down to the local level, which I know you can do that too, and say the same thing.
But isn't it amazing how many people vote against their own best interests? Like, you would put a person like this in power that doesn't care about you. He picked his family up, picked his children, and they got on down.
But trust me, he wasn't doing that during election time, okay? So what you have to remember is, when you're voting for somebody, are you voting for just what they said during election time? Or are you voting for the way they acted and what their actions were a year before they decided to run?
Absolutely.
That's when you're gonna find out who the true person is. So again, nobody tries to do anything wrong, really, period, but they're definitely not gonna do it around election time. This is your best foot forward. This is your Facebook profile, you know?
Yeah.
You're seeing all the good things. So that's why you got to look past that and say, what did they want to do what were they doing 6 months ago before they signed up to run for this seat? And the problem is that us as citizens have been so blind. We have not cared about our worlds are too hectic and crazy for us to proactively research our elected officials that we have allowed them to put ourselves in this position and them in the position that they are in.
Right.
We have
I
not.
have a question from one of the listeners. Mr.
Go
Kenneth
for it.
Holden wants to know, how do you feel about term limits?
Term limits.
Yeah.
Man, I think term limits are extremely important because at the end of the day, you get comfortable. And once you get comfortable and politics is about relationships. Okay, it is. You can't get anywhere without relationships. But once you're somewhere for so long, whether you're a good person or a bad person, those relationships start to kind of settle. Like
Yeah.
if I'm in an office, if I'm in the seat, when I'm in the seat, the council seat for after 8 years, okay, let's just go ahead and think positively and put it all in existence.
There you go. There you go.
After I'm in the council seat for 8 years, I would need to be able to give up that seat because every relationship, like I've got things running, but I might not be paying attention to new things that come in. I might be on a, not seeing something because we've been in motion doing the same thing or working on our own time clock for all these years. Term limits are very important. You've got to switch it up. Nobody should have the power to be able to put people in different positions and hold, that type of scenario or situation for too long.
Indefinitely.
Because that's where corruption comes in.
Oh yeah, we know that's a thing.
And I don't even think people who are corrupt even meant to be corrupt, if that makes sense, right? They never thought that they would even.
It is a tempting situation. So yeah.
And it just depends on how people bring it to you. They can bring it to you where it doesn't sound corrupt, where you think you're actually doing the right thing, but you're not. So yeah.
The other thing is this, and this is a question, I guess I'll put to you, because why not? It's my opinion that the situations that we're going through right now are not an act of Mother Nature, but yet an act of a man-made cause. This could have been avoided. How do you feel about that?
Absolutely. Proactiveness is the key, getting ready for stuff on a daily basis. But let me tell you something. We are some community avengers when we need to. In the last 2 days, we have gotten people food. We have gotten them hotel rooms. We've gotten them wood for fire. We've gotten babies stuff. We've gotten all kinds of things in a time of need when our community and our people needed it. And people have come together, people that they don't even know each other, people sending people money that they don't even know, okay, to make things happen. We are avengers. We're awesome when the time comes. What we need to realize is that we are always in a crisis, a daily crisis. And if we continue to do the works on a daily basis, tragedy is not as tragic as it would be when you are prepared.
Absolutely.
And when you have done things on a daily basis. The reason why COVID in 2020 hit so hard is because people weren't doing anything. And the community organizations weren't doing anything in the first place. So how are they going to do it during a pandemic?
Well, one thing I found interesting, because talking about the ERCOT, the organization that's supposed to be managing the power grid and all of that sort of thing, I kind of watched a bit of their interview the other day, and I was a little taken aback by their lack of, I guess, understanding, or everybody seems to be wanting to point fingers. But I noticed that they were talking about, I've heard in the news that El Paso hardly had a blip on the radar. Now this has to do with the deregulation of the power services in Texas. Cause now I'm gonna put this out there for my people who, cause we got a lot of people who always talk about relocating and all that sort of thing. And I will tell anybody, this little week of bad weather that we're having is about all we're gonna have. This is this doesn't even happen here. But I think that there's a level of arrogance that, like you said, a lack of preparation. El Paso operates on the grid of actually part of other states, New Mexico, for example. And here we are, because of the deregulation in '99, where they called themselves trying to pass so-called savings on to the consumer, if you will, trying to save money. But it reminds me of trickle-down economics. There's never been an example of trickle-down economics working. And it's some kind of way where if rich people make more money, then somehow it's going to save poor people money, when all it ever does is end up costing us more money while they line their pockets. And I'm thinking that this deregulation is very similar. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I'm trying to learn more about exactly what the heck is going on, because I sure as heck ain't a CPS energy expert around here. But I do know from what I'm understanding, again, like you said, it's like, okay, so we have a situation where you have a winter coming up where Texas doesn't ever go through this, right? I was looking out the window like, I cannot believe it's snowing. Like, I can't get over the fact that it's snowing. Like, this doesn't happen in studio, So when you're looking at a situation where somebody's like, oh, okay, well, you got to spend all these millions or $1 billion to get this, you're like, nah, Texas don't even do that. And if we are cold, we're cold for 3 days. So we're not going to do that. We're just gonna, we're going to see if we make it through. And then making it through ended up being what was going on, which has happened. But here's the problem that I have, because even with them not making the deals that they were supposed to make to do what they're supposed to do, even from our mayor to everybody else could have prepared us better. You have to remember, every day at 6 o'clock, we have a COVID-19 update.
That's true.
So y'all didn't know 2 weeks ago that the weather temperatures were going to be lower, that, we have a certain issues going on, that you couldn't have started telling people to wrap pipes, to do certain things.
They knew, because I knew. I mean, in fact, I was supposed to travel this week, and I canceled all of that because I knew what was coming. So how could they not know?
So that you knew, but again, we're so used to not being that serious, and we've never had it happen in our city like that before. You didn't take it seriously, and you weren't proactive with your community just in case. Because again, when was the last time it snowed all day in San Antonio? Never.
It's never happened. That was a mind blower.
I mean, I'm looking out the window. I'm like, it's still snowing. Like, what is going on? So when you're looking at things like that, and when you have to look at the big picture of governments that still have to run, of a whole 2020, like, I'm literally thinking to myself, all these people are mad at CPS. I wonder how many people remember that most people haven't paid their CPS bill since March of 2020.
Nah, that is true.
That's when San Antonio stopped payments, like where it stopped cutoffs of CPS and SAWS. So you got a whole year of no money generating. I mean, you got a small percentage of people who are still paying their bill. But let's be honest, most people are not paying their bill and haven't for a year.
That is true.
So what are we talking about here? I mean, it's hard because it's so emotional. It's hard to put logic even in it. At the time, I'm cold. There's no reason why I should be cold. I'm inside. What's going on?
But now I do take exception though with, like, for example, there was apparently the mayor of Columbia, Texas, put out a statement the other day where he said that, basically suck it up. And that, he felt like people were asking for handouts and all sorts of things like that, which I thought was completely off base. Because here's the thing, and you make a valid point when you say a lot of people haven't paid their bill. But on the other hand, we do pay taxes and we do pay for this energy resource. And I do feel that as legislators and people in the political realm who are supposed to be our lawmakers and those who are in charge should be more concerned about public safety and making sure that people are not freezing to death, which we have seen that there were so far in Houston. I believe there's been 10 weather-related deaths. In Amarillo, there have been 7 weather-related deaths, along with hundreds, 600 in Houston, as a matter of fact, carbon monoxide poisonings. And I believe there's been close to 200 here in San Antonio. And I think that there is some level of responsibility that has to be taken. And don't get me wrong.
They're responsible for all of it. They're responsible for all of it because, again, they knew. And let me explain something to you. The Alamo Dome that they opened up as a warming and a shelter, but only 500 people could be in there. Wow. Well, why is it all of a month ago, you had a boxing tournament in there, and you had a freaking basketball tournament in there that they came into San Antonio to pay. But San Antonio needs money. So you cancel Fiesta. Well, why did they cancel Fiesta and keep the rodeo? Because Fiesta is local dollars and rodeo is national money coming into your city.
Right.
That's the difference.
Gotcha.
So at the end of the day, you can't tell me that you couldn't have put more people in that Alamo Dome, that you couldn't have done it sooner, that you couldn't have told people, look, leave your house right now and go to these areas, get all your senior citizens and get them to somebody's house, because next week is about to be unbearable.
Yeah. Okay.
These places are already open for you. Downtown, turn off the tower lights, turn down the river walk, turn off all the sidewalks, because we got to conserve energy. Because even if it has nothing to do with it, what citizen wants to look out their window and see it lit up downtown when we have no electricity?
And that apparently was a thing that went across the entire state. Austin, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. The city lights were on, but the residents were out.
And so, just to your point, again, I don't care whose fault it is, as an elected leader, I want to see some urgency. I want to see the fact that you give a damn. And I want you to come up with some type of solutions for me.
Right.
Because a lot of the things that are happening also because we're still in a COVID pandemic.
Now,
at the end of the day, we've been in it for a year now.
Right.
So
now,
you still have situations that we're trying to maneuver around while going through now a winter storm. So yes, the fault to me lies on from our local government all the way up, because we are told to rely on y'all.
Exactly. Now, and speaking on that, one of the things that is also that I'm finding interesting about this, apparently now many of the schools around San Antonio have burst water pipes. So not only were the kids not able to go to school because of working, dealing with the pandemic, now they're having to do repairs and other things. Now, they said that the power grid was moments away from catastrophic failure, talking about months worth of repairs that would have been necessary for the entire state.
Yes.
I'm curious to know what are these people going to do? What are the people who are in charge? We live in a state where apparently a lot of bad decisions have been made in the past. What is it that we can do as citizens, as everyday people, to hold those accountable that are in the positions to make those differences? What is it that we can do to make sure that this never happens again?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked that question, because I need to make sure everybody understands. Accountability happens like before election time happens, okay?
Thank you, yes.
So right now is a time that you have to write, call, and whoever to tell them what you want, what period. This is what we expect of you. This is what we want to see. This is what we demand that you start doing. When they don't do that, or if they do it or don't, election day is when you now change the situation. You can't go on election day and say, oh, we're going to keep the same bad person in there so we can hold them accountable. That makes no sense. Okay? Absolutely. Accountability happens before you vote them out, before you ask to get them fired. And because there's an election coming, you got local elections coming in 2 months.
Right.
Today marks 2 months before early voting. So your mayor is going to try to do whatever he can do to make you happy. Your current council people are going to try to do whatever they can do to make you happy. These are the times to ask for some things.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I can tell you the Black Factor will be boots on the ground here for these next elections coming up, because I have said on this show many times to my Black Factor family and the people who follow me that it is necessary for us to participate in the process. It is an absolute necessity. Georgia has proven that when we get out here and put in the work, what's possible. And I personally am going to begin my own campaign in that way, to get out here and make sure that we register voters and get people in the right places so that we can make change and hold people accountable and not wait until the last minute, like you're saying. And you're absolutely 100% correct.
April 1st is the last day to register to vote, just so you know. April 19th is the first day of early voting. May 1st is election day. But look, it's more than just voting. And this is one thing that the Black community has never really gotten with. We have got to start learning to support candidates that we want in office. It takes money. I hate asking for money. I'm a giver. I try to give. I don't want to, I hate asking for money. That's why I feel like I'm the worst business person ever. If you give me any type of like, Neka, you know, my grandkids need this, or my,
it's because you're a giver, not a taker.
50% off for you.
Some people are takers and some people are givers. You're a giver. That's why. I'm
just a giver. So I hate asking for money. But look, it takes at least $40,000 to run a strong campaign. What's a strong campaign? TV commercials, signs all over your area, being able to do a mail out. So everybody's like, oh, where's my mail outs? Mail outs, for me to mail out something on a district to $10,000 to $15,000 just to do one
Nikka,
mail out.
Right quick, while you're on that topic, can you do me a favor and tell everyone, if they want to support your campaign, where would be the best place and how to do that?
To go to my website, Nikka Cleaver, 4d2.com. That's N-N-E-K-A Cleaver, and then 4d2.com. And you can just scroll down, go to the donate button. Every single person can donate up to $500, unless you have a PAC, which is a political action committee, or something like that, a fundraiser. Then that way you can donate more. But everybody, single person, can do up to $500.
Very good.
So,
very good.
But it's just really, really important, because at the end of the day, marketing and media is what costs. And when we're doing campaigns, especially presidential campaigns, they're spending millions of dollars literally just on commercials.
Absolutely.
But it is to get the word out to people who are not connected, who may not know what's going on, because it all does come back to, it's not necessarily just a popularity contest in a sense, but it's name recognition, right? Name and face recognition.
Yeah. Well, your name is pretty popular around San Antonio, especially over there on the east side. Everybody knows Nikka Cleaver, man. Look.
So hopefully I got a little advantage, because people already know me, but that's what it is. And so, you know, to be able to put out the platform and really, you know, put some commercials out there, and do everything in a nice, strong, solid way, to where we're proud of the campaign that we had. That's what it is. And then of course to pay people as well. So pay poll watchers, things like that. It's hard to sit at the polls from 7:30 a.m. to 7 p.m., you know, and just, hey, vote for Neka, vote for Neka, vote for Neka all day long.
Okay. So what your District 2, that's what you're running for, right? What does that encompass in San Antonio?
Well, it's mainly the east side of San Antonio. So if you're going down,
which is where everybody knows you.
yeah, for sure. By, you know, right after downtown, from the freeway all the way up, going towards Walsham area.
Now let me stop you right quick. Okay. This show, I primarily deal with the connection between history and what we do today. Why, how we got to where we are, why we're where we are. And I am always bringing that sort of element to this show. That's what this show is about. So what I'd like for you to do right quick, give us a little bit of history about the east side of San Antonio and its rich history, I should say.
Well, you know, it's crazy because, you know, east side, San Antonio has actually been around longer than the United States of America. And when you say that, it's like, that sounds so weird, but we are older than, we are older than the United States, right? So we celebrated 300 years 3 years ago. So I think we're on 303 right now. We African-American people were here.
Oh, and don't forget to mention, we have the largest Martin Luther King Day parade
Well, we do. We
in
do.
the entire country.
I'm gonna get to that. But what's crazy is most people think that Black people started over or originated over to the East Side, and that is not true. Black folks were actually on the other side of San Antonio and migrated to the East Side during the Jim Crow era, because then it was a part of protecting our businesses, protecting our families, and that's how all the Black folks got over to the East Side way back in the day. But that is not where we started. So we are Black folks are originally from San Antonio from its beginning, from its inception, and we have been all over San Antonio since its inception.
From the word go.
Yeah, and so, but yes, so now District 2 is definitely evolved over the years, you know, as far as being that main where African Americans lived in our businesses and things like that. W.W. White being our like Rodeo Drive, and Walsham Road, of course, was popping back in the day with Windsor Park Mall and all of that great stuff. So, but now we're looking at a very gentrified area. We are in the middle of gentrification. Now, gentrification is seen as a bad word, but in the definition of it, it is just raising an area $30,000 more in its value. So it has nothing, it does not, and this definition doesn't say nothing about color. It doesn't say anything about race or age or anything like that. It just means you're raising the property value and the things in that area by at least $30,000. So that's what the community is going through right now. We have all types of folks that now live and reside on the East Side, and a lot of growing businesses, a lot of new businesses, a lot of things coming into the area. So with that, we do have the largest MLK March here in San Antonio in the nation. It's not necessarily the party, but it's actually the march that happens that is the largest. Right. So we've suffered a little bit by having to just watch it virtually this year. So I'm sure people would love, can't wait to get back.
I'm usually on a horse.
Yeah. Can't wait to get back on the streets and get back into that. But we do a lot of things, Halloween with stage and, all kinds of different events that happen on the East Side, annual events, backpack drives, back to school drives, things like that. Very community oriented. And we do have a lot of rich history from our historical homes that are built, to buildings that have been there for hundreds of years, to families who have been in the district for over a century. So it's a great place. I love it.
Fantastic. So right quick, on last note, I wanna ask you about, before we go, give me your thoughts on, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe the last time I saw you, we were both at a city council meeting, actually. What are your thoughts on police reform and the situation surrounding the over policing and things of that nature in the community?
174 that hits the ballot in May. Man, this is I have to be honest, it's probably one of the most emotionally exhausting conversations that one has to have about the district right now. Police reform is very, very, very touchy and very emotional. I am absolutely for working with our police, wanting to represent District 2, which is already known for crime, that has very many levels of trying to combat crime. We need our police. And I want to put more community policing in place. But to get community policing, we need the actual police force support, not just with training, but so who's out there community policing and you're not harassing them. I need them to be
one of my thoughts about community policing, and I'll put this in your ear since we're sitting here talking about it right now, and you have the potential to be in a position to help rectify some of the issues that take place within a community in that regard. My belief is that if we're going to have the police in the community at the levels that sometimes they are, which is often more than other communities, the police who are policing the areas should have familiarity with not only the residents, but everything that goes on there, and so that they're not just another number, another body, another somebody to lock up and throw away. They're somebody's son, somebody's brother, somebody's daughter, and to make sure that they are not just passed over in inconsequentially, but taken care of if they should be taken care of and helped rather than thrown out like the trash.
Right. I mean, it's imperative that the police who patrol the area know the area in which they're patrolling. You can't make the person who literally lives on the block for 25 years, make them feel like a criminal coming home from work one day.
Exactly.
That's not acceptable. So to combat that, to me, is, again, a bit of teamwork. So not only are we training people to community police, these people who are in the programs can help teach the actual patrolling officers who is in the neighborhood, give them some history, give them background, let them get more knowledgeable about the community. Right. Also, to be able to have more social classes, right? Because part of my platform is education as well, increase. And that's not just, college degrees or GEDs or high school diplomas. That's also police community relations. That's also, neighbor to neighbor relations. Mm-hmm. So there's social issues too. Nothing can be solved with just one answer. We have to hit it at a lot of different levels. Absolutely. We need regular town halls so voices can consistently be heard about issues. We need things that are more like socials. And I hate to say we're going to have a mixer, but we're going to have a mixer because what do we do when we want to create bonds and relationships with just everyday people? What do? We go to happy hour and we have a drink. You go play golf. And what do you do on the golf course? You have a drink. And then after 30 minutes, you have a new best friend.
Especially in Texas. Two things people like to do in Texas. They go eat and they go drink.
They go eat and they go drink. And after you have done that together, mm-hmm. you have literally created a bond. And sometimes things are that simple. Yeah. And so we have to attempt to do the things that build relationships, which is working together, communicating more, and using time mm-hmm. to build up relationships and getting to know each other to be able to fix some of these problems. So what else is it? It's not just about, we like each other, but we also have to go and work on the systemic issues that are going on. Mm-hmm. So instead of just saying, hey, there's racism in San Antonio and we want it to stop, what does that mean? What does that look like? Hi, Sheriff Salazar and McManus. We never, ever want to see another description that says black man in red shirt.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah, that's I want them to fit the description. No more fitting the description.
No more. Yeah, there needs to be a 5-point description process that always goes out. Mm-hmm. Because you can't tell me black people don't have nose, hair, height, weight, tattoos, piercings, there's never should ever go out.
White t-shirt and locks.
Description. Yes. I tell them black people, we 9 different colors. I could literally bring you 15 different looking black men in a red shirt.
Right. Absolutely.
So we have to be better when it comes to that. That's systemic racism, because that allows a cop to pull over every black man.
Right. And that's
with
the problem.
No excuse.
And therein lies the problem.
We've got to get rid of 911 calls that are being given to that go in on a black person doing a regular chore.
Oh yeah.
There's already a law in the books that says that you cannot abuse not the 911. Calling 911 on someone who's not a criminal and not doing a crime is abuse of it.
There needs to be consequences.
Why are we not punishing the people?
There absolutely needs to be consequences.
Why are we not punishing them if it's already on the law? Okay, so what's another thing we got to do? We've got to decriminalize marijuana. Mm-hmm. Oh no, Nika, what are you talking about? Guess what they use to put our kids in jail?
Yep, absolutely.
What they use to put our kids as a record.
Absolutely right. I agree.
School line to jail line, pipeline, and whatever that is, that's one of the methods. And what most people in San Antonio don't realize is the DA does not prosecute any marijuana use under an ounce, which virtually makes it legal.
Pretty much. Well, I mean, it's already decriminalized. What they have to do is now go ahead and make it federally legal, and then that'll just solve the problem because most states in this country already have it legal anyway. So I don't. It's just a
Absolutely.
matter of time. It's not a matter of if. It's just a
Matter
matter
of
of
time.
when.
While
So
we're waiting, at least to have an excuse
exactly.
to lock up 240 more Black kids.
I agree. I agree. All right. Well,
So
Miss
it's
Cleaver.
something that we've got to target it. We've got to be more targeted with what we're trying to do so we can actually get results.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you 150%. And I want to let you know that we over here support you. We have questions? We do? Okay. What are they? Where are they?
Maryland wanted to know, Maryland, Washington.
Okay, Maryland, Washington.
Florida.
I'm sorry. Yo, you from Florida? Okay, Maryland, Washington is in Florida, and she wants to know
She wanted to know why was no water. Why was that?
why wasn't water available? Huh. That
Okay, so again, if you want to know why wasn't water available for the people in the community, it just took our leaders a very long time to get proactive with what was going on. Like 3 days later, we saw some people out in the community trying to give away water. But I promise you, my friend, if it wasn't for God's people literally helping each other out, we would have had a lot more loss than we did.
That's
Because
true.
our
I agree.
local government dropped the ball. They did not
Completely.
communicate well with us. They did not let us know what was really going on. Meanwhile, like I tell you, we have a live broadcast every day at 6 o'clock. They could have been and told us to get some water, get some things done instead of having all the lines at HEB. And it's just so funny how the situations where before we can't do them because it's COVID, now all of a sudden we've got to do them. So it just really it was disheartening and disappointing about how our city is implementing, because even our COVID programs, if I don't get me started, but I'm going to tell you something. We got COVID programs that sound so great set up. You have a child care program that $10 million was allocated to this child care program. Okay. The money was supposed to be spent by December 31st. It's February 19th. But 2 weeks ago, they had spent $12,000
Wow.
of the $10 million that was allocated.
Yeah.
So I guess that
insane.
answers the question of why they didn't allocate us no water during a hard time, because they can't even get the money allocated to the people that need the help
Right.
right now. $140 million in our workforce program. Last month, 3 people were enrolled in the SA training. 3 people.
Wow.
It's designated for 6,000 people.
Wow.
You go to the website, you can't even find where to sign up. The application is null and void. You have to ask them to call you back.
Wow.
It's not feasible for the community to understand or to even get any answers. But yet they come on every day at 6 o'clock to tell us how many more people have died or how many more people have caught it, but no solutions of how we continue to live through this.
Well,
That's the
Neka,
problem.
that's the reason why we need you. And that right there is why we need Nikka Cleaver.
I'm
in
sorry, I'm
City Council.
passionate when I get to talking like this.
when-
I'm like, let me throw my passion down, girl.
Hold on. When you running for mayor? I'm just asking. I'm just saying. When is the
We'll do that.
when
We'll
is
do
the
that
next
after
mayoral
we-
race? You need to go on and jump out there. You know what I mean? You need to put it on out. Throw your hat in the ring. I got your back. We got your back. We're gonna make it do what it do.
Yes.
Listen,
Let me learn this one first. I'll get that next.
Nikka, we running short on time. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. And you have added an extra layer to the game, and we're glad that you were able to be a part of the show. And I would like to be able to have you on again very soon,
Yes.
especially with you running up to election, so that we can, do as much as we can to help you get your platform out here even more, because what you're talking about right now is stuff that we definitely need to hear about. And you
Yes.
obviously have done your homework. And that is what we need from the people who are intending to have our best interest. And you apparently have that. And like I said, from what I know about you, you get the job done. You get out there and you get it, and ain't a lazy bone in your body. And that I love, my dear. So,
Well, when I get home, I do get lazy. You can ask my man. He'd be like,
hey,
"Do I have to go and get this
I
for you?"
think when you get home, you're entitled to be lazy. That's the question is how much time you spending at home. See, that's the thing. You be in the street. So when you
Yeah.
get home, I think that little time is okay. I think you'll be all right. So,
I have to give it up for my man, I tell you, because he lets me be lazy at home. That's for sure. So I
lucky
appreciate
fellow.
it.
That's that. Hey, he got to make it right for you. You know what I mean? You work hard, so that's what it is. Nika, I appreciate you. Thank you so very much. We're gonna have you on again soon, and good luck. And
Yes.
well, like I said, we're gonna have you on again before you get elected. So we'll do it like that. But in the meantime,
And then after I get elected consistently, so I can keep your community informed
100%,
about
absolutely,
what's going on.
I wouldn't have it no other way. I wouldn't
Yes.
have it no other way. Thank you, Nika. And again,
All right.
give us your information one more time before you go. For people who want to donate to your campaign, give us that
Yes.
website.
Neka Cleaver, Cleaver 4D2.com. And my phone number is 210-873-1235. If you have any questions, concerns, want to ask something, want to talk something out, holla at me. I'm here for you.
Very good. Thank you, Nika. You have yourself a wonderful night. Get you some rest, baby, because you worked hard today.
Thank you. I love you guys. Can't wait to see you
Take
again.
care,
Great
baby.
job.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Miss Nikka Cleaver. And she is putting in the work, doing what San Antonio needs done, and giving us some insight as to what's really taking place out here in the game. And man, y'all, she's running for the second district of city council seat here in San Antonio, and she is one who knows her way around the city and has a deep, deep history and deep roots in this city as well. And man, shouts out to her. I look forward to her winning that spot. I think she's ahead in the polls, if I'm not mistaken. She's looking real good. And so we want to make sure she gets that spot and carries us all forward. Maybe she'll be running for mayor next time. You know what I'm saying? That'd be a good thing. So now it's time for me to go into my rant. I know I'm already an hour into this show, but that was such a good interview. We had to keep it going. But here's the thing, y'all. We are living, for my Texas residents and those outside, in case you want to know what's really going on here, I'm going to break it down for you. Texas is a red state. All of the arrogance and the conversations about Texas having their thing together, it just goes to show you people can talk and say whatever they want, but it doesn't mean that they actually have their stuff together. And so here we are in the middle of a Stone Age deep freeze. There are millions of individuals who are without water. In fact, about half of the state doesn't have running water. Then you have people whose homes have literally flooded. I personally believe that this is somewhat of a man-made catastrophe. This didn't have to be this way. But it is. Why? Because a lot of people drop the ball all at once. It's what you call a perfect storm. Now, it makes me wonder, when I listen to the Donald Trump supporters and the people who follow this so-called conservative ideology, where they seem to believe that every damn thing is a hoax. Was this a hoax? Was all of this snow, did they pull out their snow machine and make all of this snow and ice and freezing cold so that they could prove that they know what they're doing? What happened? Where are my hoax people? Global warming is a hoax. Really? Well, you tell that to the countless people who are homeless tonight, who had been freezing for the last 3 or 4 days, who were without water, people who are on ventilators, people who are on dialysis, people who need medication, because the store shelves are empty. And here's the thing. I thanked, and I'm going to thank again all of those who reached out to me and mine to to make sure we were okay,
Thank you.
to make sure that we had somewhere to go if need be, had water if we needed it, had anything, whatever we needed. And they looked out. They shouted us out. Fortunately, we did not need anyone else's assistance. And of course, everybody knows that if they needed me, I would have been there for them as well. But this was a crisis that didn't have to happen. Ted Cruz found it within his small heart, his small black heart, to walk away, fly away from his constituents. Fled Cruz, that's his new name, because he fled the scene. Flying Lion Ted Cruz, who then decided to put these problems of what happened on his kids. He blamed his children. Oh, they wanted to go on a vacation because it was cold. Is that right? Maybe he should have just said no. Maybe he should have been doing more to take care of his constituents. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, all the way from the state of New York, has raised over $2 million in the last 24 hours to help people with homelessness, home damage, because many pipes burst. There are people who literally are standing water, frozen water inside their homes. There are people who are hungry tonight. You have to remember, when these type of things happen, it's not that people are looking for any kind of a handout or anything, but everybody doesn't have it like that. There are people who are in between paychecks. There are people who are not situated for a disaster. Just because the disaster comes doesn't mean that they can handle it when it comes. And this is what we're dealing with. Now, here's an interesting little thing. Ted Cruz got on a plane to go to Cancun, but he left Snowflake. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, according to reports, that right there is Snowflake. Ted Cruz claimed, and as I heard one reporter put it today, he went full Gilligan. He claimed it was going to be a 3-hour tour. A 3-hour tour. A 3-hour tour. Now, he left his dog in the house that was too cold for him to stay in. Now, according to Michael Hardy, who was a reporter who decided to stop by, and I think he's the one that took this picture. He works for a New York magazine called The Intelligencer. He said he decided to pay a visit to the Cruz house in the exclusive Houston River Oaks neighborhood, where he spotted a white dog peering out of the window of the front door. And he asked the man who stepped out of a car in the driveway, who identified himself as the security guard, what was going on, and was this Ted Cruz's house? He told him yes. Mr. Cruz was not in. He wasn't home. Why? Because he was in Cancun. And the reporter asked, who's taking care of the dog? And the security guard says, I am. Ironically, the dog's name is Snowflake. But here's the funny thing. So the security guard was sitting out in the car in the heat, in warm, but the dog was inside the house, undoubtedly freezing. Somebody need to call the ASPCA. But if that wasn't enough, Republican Grady Gates, Texas House of Representatives, District 28 out of Houston, also flew his private jet to Florida to take his family out of the cold. He claims that his wife was sick and his house partially flooded. And he said that he had to take her out because there was mold. Mold? Well, how long had your house been flooded for it to be mold in freezing conditions? These folks don't mind telling no lies now. They don't mind. They do not mind. Trump was absolutely correct when he called Ted Cruz lying Ted Cruz. Because Ted Cruz done told a bunch of lies in the midst of this. First, he said he was only going to drop the girls off. Then he said that he said he was dropping the girls off, but then he said, no, we were really supposed to be there for a week. Really? Well, turns out that right there does not look like a bag for dropping the girls off. He was going to be there for the week like he said, but then he had to turn that around. And then he said he was sorry. He had made a mistake. The Cancun thing was a bad idea. And I'll say this, since he decided to leave his constituents freezing and in the dark while he flew away, I don't think that he's sorry. I think that he's sorry he got caught. Because while people were here literally fighting for their lives, inside their own homes, no less, he was going to go down to the beach in Mexico and drink him a few margaritas. Old lying Ted Cruz. Now, this is the same Ted Cruz who tried to deny millions of black folks their votes because he was so busy filing lawsuits from here in Texas, in other states, trying to get this election overturned, that he didn't realize that his state would soon be in trouble. You're worried about what's going on in Georgia, in Michigan, and Wisconsin, but you can't take care of your own business. See, that's what happens when you're worried about somebody else's house. You can't take care of your own. Can't take care of your own people. But they voted for him again. Yep. He's a problem. He's definitely an issue. Now, this whole thing about ERCOT, I believe it's called. That's the company that supposedly that regulated or is the that's responsible for the power grid. Now, I want y'all to understand something. Texas is the #1 energy producing state in the entire nation. I want y'all to think about that for a minute. We make more energy in Texas. Why? Because we have the oil fields, we have the wind farms, the turbines, we have solar panels, pipelines, we got refineries, we have gas production. But explain to me why, with all of that, it never translated to the people in this state. How is it that we could be running low on power when we create the most power in the whole country? This is the Wall Street, Main Street argument all over again. The parallel, what happens on Wall Street does not translate to what happens on Main Street. Y'all have heard me say that before. And here we are yet again. The stock market goes crazy and all these rich people make all this money. I can't eat stocks. And everybody is not in the stock market. And everybody can't afford to be in the stock market. Everybody can't afford to lose when they play the stock market. It's like gambling. So everybody's not in the stock market. So just because the stock market goes crazy, it doesn't mean anything to people down here. Similarly, just because we're the #1 energy producing state in the country, obviously, that means absolutely nothing to the people on the ground. That means absolutely nothing to the individuals who are currently, many without lights still, many without water still, many with flooded homes in freezing conditions. And in fact, the temperatures are dropping right now. We're about to go into yet another freeze. All of this in the greatest energy producing state in the country. Now, remember, Texas is also the same state who kept hollering about, we want our independence. We want to secede from the United States. We want to be our own country. Well, let me tell you, right about now, Texas is looking like a third world country. And for those of you who don't know what a third world country looks like in terms of energy, they have rolling blackouts. They have many periods of time where there is no power. They have sometimes lack of resources, and the list goes on. And that is where we are right now. The store shelves are still currently empty. The trucks are starting to roll finally to bring groceries into the stores. But I went into the grocery store this morning. Not one of the freezers had anything in it, of course, because there was no power. When you walk into a Walmart and there's nothing on the shelves, you know something happened. And this all goes back to what I always say when I talk about survival. There's only going to be so much survival that you're going to be capable of in a catastrophic situation. And here we are yet again, less than a year later after the beginning when COVID started and everybody made a run on the stores and the gas stations and all that stuff. And here we are yet again. These catastrophes are starting to get closer and closer together. And it's like, this time, I believe a lot of people got caught off guard. There are people here who literally have absolutely no idea what it's like to own a coat. And I'll show you, and I mentioned this the other day when I did the show from my car. You see those people covered up in blankets, wrapped in blankets? Because they don't need coats here, because this just doesn't happen. Now, I think because it doesn't happen, there are those who were unprepared, needless to say, but there are those who just figured the people who are in control of making sure that our public safety is adhered to, there are people who just didn't think, I guess, this would happen. And so the people of this state are the ones that have to pay for it. It's costing the people of this state, many of them, their lives and their livelihood. All of this just to stay warm. There are people literally, I saw a lady today who said she burned her IKEA furniture in the fireplace to stay warm. I've seen people, lines at the gas stations, ridiculous. You know, it's funny, I had people who called and said, do you need anything? Can I send you some money? Nope. I mean, I appreciate the gesture. Thank you so much. I do. But if you had a safe full of money in your house right now, or let's say over the last 3 or 4 days, there's absolutely nothing that you could have done with it unless you tried to cook it and eat it. No stores were open for you to buy any food. Gas stations were out of gas, aside from the lights being off. Couldn't pump no gas, no electricity. Nothing to eat. You couldn't even buy a bag of ice. So all the groceries that you may have bought and put in your refrigerator, for those who tried to prepare, thinking that the normal stuff would still be in place, like electricity, had to throw all that food out. All that food got to throw it out now because it's been in a hot refrigerator. Well, not hot because it was cold, but not cold enough for the last 3 days. Got to throw all that out now. Nobody expected to have to be uncomfortable in their own homes. This was not part of the program. The bottom line is the people in this state, like any other state and across this country, pay their taxes and their water bills and their light bills. And it is up to those who you pay to provide the service that you pay for. They dropped the ball. Plain and simple. And it is an unfortunate situation, but this is where we are. And it ain't a whole lot at this point that anybody can do to change it. It happened. Hopefully, we learn from it. Hopefully, we move forward and we make sure to vote out the individuals who put us in this spot. Because this ain't cool. I'm going to tell y'all, it got cold up in here. It ain't no joke. It got nice and cool around here in my spot. Now, fortunately, there are a few water distribution locations around this state, around this city, and other cities to help people to get water. I have a list of a few of those. Funny thing was, there were people actually getting snow as a way to survive water-wise. Now, the funny thing was, even if you got the snow, ain't like you could put it on the stove and heat it up or boil it. So, a candle. Now, I'm saying things because I'm kind of a survivor and I would figure stuff out. But there are people who weren't able to. I barbecued. All that meat in the refrigerator, the stuff in the fridge, whatever we had that we knew was going to go bad, I went out there and fired up the grill. Fortunately, I had charcoal and lighter fluid and the things I needed to do that with, but everybody didn't. Firewood, generator, I got all that kind of stuff, but everybody else, a lot of other people didn't. These people are suffering. So, apparently, for today, between 12 and 6, they were giving away water on O'Connor Road, Mission Road, Maltzberger, University Drive, and the SeaWorld in 1604. So there are opportunities for anyone who may be listening that is in the city with me. There are opportunities to get drinking water or water of some kind over the next day or two. So look those up, take advantage of them, and get what you need. According to the power company, we are no longer in the dark, so to speak, and there's no need for electricity conservation at this point, even though there are still people who are not eating, who don't have food and things like that. And it got so bad, I had a friend of mine call me today that works at a hospital to tell me that the hospital even ran out of water. And anybody who had to go to the restroom had to basically use a bag. Yep. Imagine that. You gotta go. You gotta go. We have had people who have froze to death. That's unfortunate. We have many people whose homes have burned to the ground because the fire hydrants were froze and they couldn't get enough water on the properties. Burned to the ground. Carbon monoxide deaths, carbon monoxide poisonings. And this is what's happening. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to keep y'all no longer because I think I've made my point. I've said what I need to say. I've brought you a little bit of information that I hopefully have given a little bit of knowledge about what's happening here, why it's happening here, and hopefully things will change fairly quickly and things will go back to normal. As a matter of fact, I believe it is on Sunday, we're supposed to get up to 60 degrees, and by Tuesday, it'll be 74. And it'll be back to business as usual, and people will be pretending like this never happened. So, with all of that said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming on and coming along and hanging out with your buddy. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the...
Thanks, everyone.
Don't forget to hit the like button, share the live. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on YouTube and share this with your friends. Let everybody know we are all right here in Texas. We're going to be all right. Texas is definitely an independent place. And I'm going to say this. I know that I've talked a lot about some of the bad stuff, but I'm going to tell y'all, it ain't all bad here. This place is, the people here are really good to one another. The people who need to step up do. We have people like Nikka Cleaver who work tirelessly in the communities. Even with everything that's happened, I still love me some Texas. And we're going to get it right. We're going to get these things worked out. We're going to get these things straightened out. And we're going to change this state politically. And I'm going to put myself in the middle of that. Some kind of way. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to pull a Stacey Abrams around here. We're going to get the people out here to vote. And we're going to make some changes. We're going to make things different. And then that way we won't have these types of problems. And there'll be people who have enough compassion, like the mayor of Houston, by the way. What's his name? Sylvester Turner, the mayor of Houston, who was literally out there today distributing water himself, putting water in people's cars.
During the pandemic.
During the pandemic, no less. These are the type of leaders that we need in this state. So if you live in another state and you know that you have the ability, the knowledge, come on down. We could use a few more good hands in Texas. We need more Nikka Cleavers in Texas.
And Brian Forbes. And Papa
Don't
Forbes.
put me on that. Look. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, Texas is still a great state, and we're going to get some of this stuff worked out. But we got to stick with it, and we got to be willing to do the work. And I'm willing to do the work. And I'm going to drag a few of y'all along with me, so be prepared. It's coming. It's coming, y'all, like death and taxes. It's coming. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank each and every one of you for hanging out with me tonight. I thank Nikka Cleaver so much for coming on, and we're going to have her back on the show. She is a passionate individual, and she knows what we need. So I fully support her in what she's on.
Thank the people who offer us food.
I did that.
Okay.
My side host over here, I can't get her to come on camera. But I'm going to do what she told me anyway. I'm going to say it one more time. I thank everybody who offered us shelter, offered us water, offered us electricity, somewhere to lay our heads. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. You got applause over there. Okay. I even had people telling me come to Georgia. One of my people was like, man, come to Georgia. Stay a week, stay a month. Can't get out of here. Couldn't go nowhere. See, again, no matter how much money you had, didn't matter. Roads was froze. Couldn't get no gas. Stores was closed. Not just closed, dark, black. No street, no stoplights, nothing. You couldn't do nothing. Nothing you could do. You was here. You was in it to win it, baby. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you. It's time for me to roll. Love, peace, and chicken grease, y'all. We out of here.